Welcome to our 2028 presidential election coverage. This evening, we will be discussing how President Ossoff will be running for re-election, and we also have some coverage of many of his opponents. So if you're not familiar with this series, I would recommend you watch the entire playlist that will be linked above now, as this is the continuation of my 2024 series. Now, on to the rest of the election night. President Jon Ossoff's approval rating has gone down, especially with the current pandemic, which many people have rated at his handling as very poor. Jon Ossoff's approval rating, as you can see here, is currently 39% approval, 55% disapproval, 5% are currently unsure. That is a net minus 16% disapproval. He has a 70% approval rating from Democrats and 25% disapproval. That is pretty bad considering the fact that it is from his own party. He has astronomically low approval ratings from Republicans and independents as well. As you can see, Jon Ossoff's popularity has not helped Democrats, as they are now four seats down from the Republicans and 2 seats away from the majority of the Senate. So some of you may remember that in 2024, the Democrats did flip one of Florida's Senate seats blue, but the holder of that office, Anna Eskamani, did resign to join the Ossoff administration. And the 2026 midterms were in the throes of the current pandemic, so many of these races were not really reflective of Ossoff's approval rating. And here is a preliminary polling for the Democratic primary. 70% say Jon Ossoff, that they will vote for him, and 30% say that they won't. And here's a preliminary polling for the Republican primary. Unknown has the top spot at 35%, but besides that, Ron DeSantis has a very strong position here at 25%, a 15% lead over Nikki Haley, who is tied with KIMBERLY. So some background for those who do not know. Ron DeSantis was the runner-up in the 2024 Republican primary, narrowly losing to Nikki Haley. He was actually pressured to drop out by many top Republicans in the name of party unity. As the race was so close, it was likely that it would have gone to a broker convention. But now, Ron DeSantis has essentially been vindicated, as Nikki Haley lost to Jon Ossoff back in 2024. So that is why he has a 15% lead over her. Meanwhile, KIMBERLY is the Republican governor of Arizona and has gotten some national recognition for being the Republican governor of a purple state. Out of Tallahassee, Florida, we have a major announcement. Ron DeSantis has announced his 2028 presidential bid. He will run again and try to beat Nikki Haley if she runs, and potentially Jon Ossoff if he is a nominee. But based on our current numbers, that has a very high chance of happening. As you can see, Ron DeSantis has a 53% approval rating, only a 45% disapproval rating, and 2% are unsure or do not know of him. Only 2% of Americans do not know who Ron DeSantis is. That is a naturally strong position for someone who wasn't even the nominee in the last election. And his approval rating is currently way higher than Jon Ossoff's. He has a decent 10% of rating from Democrats in approval, 88% disapproval. His Republican approval is very high at 95%, and he has high marks from independents as well. Out of Austin, Texas, we have another announcement to make. Former Senator Ted Cruz will begin his presidential run. We call him former senator since he did retire from the Senate in 2024, but he still remained active in politics. He has been building his national profile after his loss in the 2024 Republican primaries. Here is his approval rating. 43% approve, 47% disapprove, currently a net minus 4 disapproval, and about 10% of the nation does not know who he is. While Ron DeSantis has about 2% of the nation not knowing him, 10% is actually pretty good for Ted Cruz. He has pretty high ratings from independents and Republicans, though his rating amongst Democrats and, again, independents could be a little higher. Out of Pierre, South Dakota, we have another announcement. Governor Kristi Noem has announced her candidacy for the Republican nomination. Her approval rating stands as this: 40% approve, 45% disapprove, currently minus 5% in net disapproval. 15% of the nation does not know who she is. She currently has tied ratings from independents, 35 each, but that means that she does have room to grow. Pretty high ratings from Republicans and pretty low ratings from Democrats. And out of New York City in New York, we have a major announcement. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, in a surprise move, announced that she will primary the sitting president, Jon Ossoff. She will primary him from the left. AOC has long been on the fringe of the Democratic Party, and now she's making it known as a maverick that she will be primarying the sitting president. This is a shocking move to many people. As you can see, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has a very interesting approval rating. It is 97% disapproval, meaning that she actually has a higher approval rating than the incumbent president. 45% approve, 52% disapprove, and 3% of the nation does not know who she is or are unsure. And that's actually pretty good. It's better than someone like Ted Cruz, and AOC is only representative. She has pretty low approval ratings from Democrats, but still hovers around 85%, which is okay. 30% approval rating from Republicans, very poor, and a 30% rating from independents compared to 50% disapproval, meaning that AOC definitely has some room to grow overall. Now, Detroit, Michigan, we have a major announcement. Senator John James has began his 2028 presidential run. John James beat out incumbent Senator Gary Peters, or then incumbent senator, in Michigan's 2026 Senate race in a rematch of the 2020 Senate race. John James did pretty well with many moderate white voters, and this could be his base for the presidential election. There aren't any candidates from the GOP as of now that are from the Rust Belt, so it could potentially be where he gets most of his delegates from. Here is his current approval rating. 15% of the nation does not know who he is or are unsure of the rating of him, meaning that he definitely could expand his approval rating, which is currently at a +6 net approval, 46% approve and 40% disapprove. He has a 10% approval rating from Democrats, pretty good, 90% from Republicans, definitely very good, and 45% from independents, meaning that he definitely is a strong candidate going into this election. Out of Phoenix, Arizona, we have another major announcement. Governor Kimberly Yee, who you saw take 4th place in the GOP preliminary polling behind tied with Nikki Haley, is starting her 2028 presidential run. Kimberly Yee is definitely another strong candidate. She does well with many moderate suburban voters and could do well with a coalition that combines populist blue-collar workers and suburban voters that could potentially allow her to win. Her approval rating is +13%, meaning it is actually better than Ron DeSantis, pretty good. But 7% of the nation does not know who she is, meaning that she will definitely have to shift what their opinion of her is. It is 53% approval, 40% disapproval, 12% approval rating from Dems to 82% disapproval, and a strong 90% approval rating from Republicans and 50% from independents, meaning Yee is one of the stronger candidates out there. And out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, we have another major announcement. Mike Lindell has formed a 2028 exploratory committee. He is currently exploring the possibility of running for president. As you can see, Lindell is very controversial, a -25% net of disapproval rating. Only 35% approve, 50% disapprove, and 15% of the nation does not know who he is. So going more in depth, only 10% of independents approve of him compared to 60% disapprove. 75% of Republicans approve of him compared to 20% disapprove. Definitely very poor ratings. We do not expect him to do very well. And another announcement out of New York City, New York. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is kicking off his 2028 bid in a rally in New York City. This is actually another surprise, but it's interesting that both primary challengers to President Ossoff are from New York City. But Eric Adams, in contrast to AOC, is challenging Jon Ossoff from the center left of the party, more critical of his big spending approaches and positions on social issues and such as that. Here are Eric Adams' approval rating. He currently has a +11 approval rating, pretty good. 42% disapprove, 53% approve, and 5% have no opinion of him or are unsure. That is definitely better than Jon Ossoff and puts him as a strong candidate if he can gain a big enough base to win the primary. Currently, 50% of independents approve of him and 15% of Republicans, which is pretty strong. And we have a big announcement out of Lexington, Kentucky. Senator Rand Paul has announced his 2028 presidential run. This is his second presidential run after 2016, in which he lost the primary. Let's look at his approval ratings. He currently has a net -3 disapproval rating. That is 42% approve, 45% disapprove, 13% have no opinion, meaning that he could definitely grow with that 42% approval rating. He has decent marks from Republicans and could definitely expand his ratings in independent approval. He has an expectedly low Democratic approval, but again, no surprise there. And out of Charleston, South Carolina, we have a very big announcement to make. This will change the race. Former Vice President Nikki Haley is running for president for a second time. This looks like it may be a rematch of the DeSantis versus Haley matchup we saw in 2024. Admittedly, we will have a few bigger candidates like Jon James and Kimberly Yee, but Nikki Haley is definitely a strong candidate. She only lost the presidency in 2024 because of the state of Georgia, which was Jon Ossoff's home state. And Nikki Haley could definitely grow. She was, in a way, also vindicated, similar to Ron DeSantis, in the fact that many of the nation may be more willing to vote for her after Ossoff's poor ratings as president. As you can see, Nikki Haley has a very, very similar approval rating to Jon Ossoff. Currently, 52% of people approve of her, 45% disapprove, meaning a net 7% approval rating, and 3% do not know of her. And currently, that 45% of independents approve of her, compared to 40% disapprove, 90% of Republicans approve of her, compared to 8% disapproval, and 10% of Democrats compared to 87% disapproval. And here is the initial polling for the Democratic primary after all the candidate announcements. Jon Ossoff is in a pretty bad position. Only 45% say they'll vote for him. 20% say AOC, 15% say Eric Adams, and 20% currently say they do not know who they will vote for. Meaning that even at his highest potential, Jon Ossoff is only getting 65% of Democratic voters. He definitely needs to up his game in this race. And here is initial polling for Iowa. Jon Ossoff is at 40%, only 10% ahead of Eric Adams, who in turn is 18% ahead of AOC, and that same number, 18, is the number of voters who do not know who they vote for as of now. And in New Hampshire, it is actually a closer race. Jon Ossoff still has a 10% lead over Adams. So Ossoff is at 35%, Adams at 25%, AOC at a better 20%, and that same number, 20%, is the number of voters who do not know who they will vote for as of now. And in the Republican primary, Ron DeSantis takes a strong lead, 10% over Nikki Haley, 30% for DeSantis, 20% for Nikki Haley, and 10% for both Kimberly Yee and Jon James. And in the extended list for Iowa, 35% for Ron DeSantis, that is a 10% lead over Jon James, 25%, and in turn another 10% lead over Nikki Haley, meaning Nikki Haley is in third place for Iowa, which is definitely not where she wants to be. Kimberly Yee is at 12%, taking fourth place overall. And in the polling for New Hampshire, it is definitely a closer race here. Ron DeSantis at 30%, Nikki Haley at 27%, and Kimberly Yee at 20%, and Jon James at 13%. So, thank you everyone for watching. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you will be able to see all the future episodes of this series. It's been great to make, and I have all the other episodes ready except for the final episode, so make sure to stay tuned for that. You can like this content so more people can see it, and I'll bring out more content such as this. You can also leave a comment telling me what you think of the race. Who do you think will win the respective primaries for both Democratic and GOP? And who do you think will win the presidential election in the end? So, thank you all for watching. Make sure to check out the description for any useful links. Yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll see you all next time.